this is a story about when the wind found its voice again. There was a young girl named Myra who lived in a village surrounded by hills. Most days, a soft wind blew through the valley, carrying the smell of pine trees and the sound of birds. But one winter, something changed. The wind stopped. Not slowed, not quieted, it just stopped. There was no breeze, no rustle in the trees, and no song in the valley. Everything felt still. It was too still. The grown-ups whispered that it felt like hope had gone quiet. Myra didn't like it one little bit. So one morning, while the village was still waking up, she climbed the hill just outside of town. At the top, she found something strange. The ground was cracked and dry, and scattered around were old sticks and stones that looked like they hadn't moved in years. "This place feels lonely," she whispered. Then, out of the silence, Myra heard a voice, not a loud one, not scary, just steady. "So, Myra, what do you think? Can hope live here again?" She looked around. "Here in this dry place? I don't know," she admitted. And then she added, "But maybe you know." The voice replied, "Speak hope, Myra. Say out loud what you believe I can do." It kind of sounded unusual, but Myra took a deep breath and said, "Wind, you can blow again. Valley, you can wake up. Hope, you can return." Well, at first nothing happened. Then very quietly she heard a tiny voice. A tiny, tiny sound, a click, a soft tap. Another tiny rattle, and sticks on the ground began to shift, and stones rolled into place. She stepped back, and her eyes got wider and wider, and then came a big gust of wind. A small one at first, but then stronger and stronger. The wind was back. It swept through the valley like a long-held breath, finally released. Trees began to sway back and forth. The birds lifted their wings. The whole valley seemed to stretch and to breathe. It all came to life. Myra smiled because she realized something important. Hope doesn't always rush in with noise and fanfare. Sometimes it begins with the tiniest rattle, the tiniest little movement, the quiet courage of someone who's willing to speak out loud. And from that day on, whenever the wind blew, Myra whispered, "This is the sound of hope finding its voice."